So I'm driving back from Atlanta from visiting a friend. And it's the middle of summer. It's about 98 degrees with 90% humidity. Yeah, it's your typical July Georgia summer. And it's sweltering. And I'm driving back, and somewhere between Commerce and Carnage, the alternator belt in my car decides to snap. So I pull off the side of the road, I-85, and start going through all the necessary things that you're supposed to do when your car is broken down on the side of the road. The first thing I do is I call 911 to see if I can get either the highway patrol or a police officer out there just as extra security. It's, this is the procedures I have been taught growing up to do. And so I'm looking at the Franklin County sign. I mean, it's maybe 5 feet away. This is what I tell the dispatcher that I'm located on 95. I'm looking at the Franklin County sign. Okay, no big deal. She sends someone out from Franklin County, but because I'm not in Franklin County, they can't stay. Okay. Because I'm 5 feet away from the county that you actually work in, you're going to leave me out here. Just on my own. Okay, that's cool. I can deal with that. Do you want me to push my car the 5 feet? Because I will totally do that for you. Anyway, he leaves. And I go about the standard operating procedure in calling my roadside assistance. Now, mind you, I have a dead car. As in, I have my four-way flashers on, but they are blinking so fast because the battery is nearly dead that you can't see them. The cell phone battery that I have is almost dead. The cell phone has put itself into emergency mode just so it has enough juice to actually allow me to make a phone call. So I call my roadside assistance, which at this time is not AAA. I don't remember who it was, but I know I will not be switching from AAA anytime in the near future, simply because of this one time. I call them, and I let her know the situation, that I need a tow truck on I-85 heading northbound on the Franklin County line between Commerce and Carthage. Not Carthage. Commerce and Carnage. I should have known that this was going to be a terrible, terrible day when the first thing that she asks me is, and I quote, "Is that in the United States?" Is Georgia in the United States? Now, I know there's a Georgia in the former Soviet Union. However, I don't think they have an Interstate 85. And furthermore, why would I be calling you from the Soviet Union? I politely explained that, yes, Georgia is in the United States. It is north of Florida and south of South Carolina. And I'm heading northbound on I-85. Question 2 from her was, what street does that intersect? Are you really asking me what street the interstate intersects? And she was. That's the sad part. She was actually asking me what side street intersects Interstate I-85. I don't know if you out there in the general public know how interstates work, but they really don't have side streets. And the only thing that really intersects them are exits. And I honestly am miles away from the nearest exit in either direction. So I ask her as stress-free and nicely as possible if she can put me in contact with a towing company in either Carnage or Commerce, Georgia, or even Atlanta. And so she finds someone, finally, now that we've discovered that Georgia is indeed in the United States, we find someone, and she puts me through to them. And the guy says, "I'll be there directly." I don't know exactly what period of time directly is, but I'm going to assume from here on out that it means never. An hour passes. I mean, it's the interstate. I kind of figure it's going to take some time to get out there. An hour passes. 2 hours pass. 3. And I'm still on the side of the road, now with a completely dead car. No lights, no nothing. And it's starting to get dark. On the side of the road. In the middle of nowhere, Georgia. This is prior to me having those orange triangles of don't run into me and flares and all that. I now have all that in my car, simply because of this one day. So it's starting to get dark. I call the roadside assistance back, and she tries to get in contact with the guy yet again. Well, now she's not having any luck contacting him. I call the highway patrol again, and they tell me that they will send someone out from the county that I'm in as soon as they can. Fantastic. It's now, at some point, when I make this call, it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. It's still light up, but it's rapidly getting dark. About 8:30 or so, I call the highway patrol again because no one has shown up. No tow truck, no police, no highway patrol, nobody. No one has even stopped at this point to say, "Are you okay? Could you use some assistance?" Which is fine by me because I'd probably freak out. So I call the dispatch again, and she tries to get in contact with someone on their end because she finds it highly unusual that no one's come out there yet. And so do I. I don't tie up the line, so she has the number. It's 911, it comes up anyway. So I'm sitting out there waiting and waiting and waiting. And I think about 10:30 or so, I finally decide that I'm going to die out here. In the middle of nowhere, Georgia. The fact that it's 98 degrees at night is kind of made me a little edgy. So it's at this point that my well of useless information comes up and goes, well, I had this little bitty LED light that my father got me. And I mean, it's tiny. It's as big as my thumb. But you can click it on and it'll stay on. Or you can press it and it'll flash when you press it. And when I was younger and I would take long car rides with my parents, my father had a CB radio. I don't know why. It's a hobby of his, and it still is actually. He had a CB radio, and you could actually listen to the truckers that would pass. And sometimes it would come up with these series of beeps. And when I'm little, I don't understand what that is, so I would ask. And, my father would explain to me it's Morse code. And knowing Morse, he would tell me what it would say, and so on and so forth. Well, I decide, in my brilliance, or just sheer thought of not really wanting to spend the night on the side of the road, since the nearest exit I'm going to estimate is about 5 miles away, I sit on my back bumper, pointing myself down the interstate, and I take my little key fob, and I start doing ... dash 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 ... down the interstate into oncoming traffic. I kid you not, it's maybe a minute, and this 18-wheeler veers off the side of the road in front of my car, a Christmas tree of truck lights, and a guy hops out and he says, "I saw your signal down the interstate. Do you need assistance?" I could not be happier to see this guy, because at this point it's dark. You can't see me, you can't see my car, but now here's this glowing beacon of lights everywhere. Maybe 45 seconds later, police shows up. The captain, no less, of that county, he gets on the radio. The funny thing about it is, the only reason he had to come out there sooner is because a gentleman had accidentally shot himself in the foot. And for some reason, it took the 5 police officers, and he told me, the 5 police officers that they have for that county to take care of the situation. So he gets on his radio and finds a tow truck in the general vicinity who's just driving around. And he shows up in about 5 minutes. The trucker has set up the triangular flares and the don't run, as I call them, the don't run into this person triangles of orange, awesome. He's loading up my car. He and the tow truck operator are loading up my car into the thing, and the tow truck guy says, "Did you call roadside assistance?" And I tell him yes. So he gets on his radio to find out what had happened. The guy that had initially started to respond to my call, his tow truck broke down, and he had to walk 3 miles to a gas station to get one of his people to come out and tow his tow truck back to their shop. So he didn't have the ability to contact anyone to say, "Hey, I need someone to go get this person. They're here. Go get them." This poor guy got his car broke down, my car broke down. The nearest Saturn dealership was either in Atlanta or Greenville, South Carolina, both of which were about 100 miles away. We just decided to go to Greenville, and the tow truck driver, even though I had roadside assistance, did not charge for the tow, even though it was a long way away. And so the next day I just get the car fixed and take off and get back to North Carolina. That useless information that I know, that Morse code, that S.O.S that I sent down the interstate, probably was the only reason I wasn't left there all night. So don't neglect your useless information. It's pretty damn useful to someone, somewhere.